So I want to get into some of my experiences being a creative person in a normal workplace environment. For me, it was an office environment, kind of a white collar job. That's been my career for a long time now. But my experience being more creative was that I tended to have ideas that didn't really fit in with the group at the time. I was sort of a bit ahead of the curve. And I hate to say it that way, but my experience was I would bring up these ideas, and sometimes they would just be, I would be chastised for these ideas. Like, it would just seem like insane to them. It was just like, this is like, what, you're crazy or whatever. And then weeks or months later, the ideas would come up and they would be implemented. That would make sense at that time. If you're truly creative, you're truly imaginative, you're kind of ahead of the curve, one of those type of people, and you're in these environments, my suggestion is to just be patient. Just because you have the idea and you know that this is a great idea and this could really bring the team forward, it doesn't mean that it's the right time. And so that's what I struggled with. For whatever reason, the group was too focused on whatever was going on at the time. So anyway, I also wanted to get into an interesting fact that I found that helped me to understand this. There's a book called The World in 6 Songs by Daniel J. Levitin. He put it out in 2010. And in that book, he talks about how Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor and also a psychologist, is a very well-known, psychologist and Holocaust survivor. He spent time in the concentration camps, and he noted that the prisoners would create all kinds of artistic works, such as poetry and songs and paintings. So he said that it gave their difficult lives purpose. And he goes so far as to say that it wasn't just done to improve their lot, but it was almost a biological need. And then Daniel Levitin comes back and makes the point that being creative isn't voluntary. He says it's an evolutionary trait. He says those with creative brains are more likely to survive. They could find shelter and food where other people couldn't. So being creative isn't voluntary for creative people. It's a necessary part of their life. I have to create, right? I have to find ways to create. So anyway, if you are a creative person, you're watching this, I wish you the best. And just have patience and sort of know your worth as a creative, because a lot of the times no one's going to express that to you. They're not going to come and say, oh, like that idea was great or whatever. Not all the time, right? Or they're not going to express to you that you're actually like, you're kind of ahead of the curve. They're not going to express that to you necessarily.